Imagine this. You're sitting in a dimly lit restaurant. The soft hum of conversation surrounds you, the scent of fresh-cooked steak lingering in the air. Across from you sits the most powerful gangster in America. He excuses himself to the restroom, and the moment he's gone, bang. Gunmen storm in, bullets fly, and the crime boss slumps over, lifeless. The man who orchestrated this? A young, ruthless visionary named Lucky Luciano. And this was only the beginning. Born Salvatore Lucania in Sicily, Luciano arrived in America at just 9 years old. The Lower East Side of New York wasn't just tough, it was survival of the fittest. And young Lucky, he was a survivor. By 10 years old, he was already running small-time extortion rackets, charging kids for protection. While most kids were playing stickball, Luciano was building an empire, one penny at a time. Then came Prohibition, the golden age of organized crime. Luciano didn't just see opportunity, he built a criminal corporate empire. While old-school bosses stuck to their own, Luciano did the unthinkable. He partnered with Jewish and Irish mobs, working with Meyer Lansky and Bugsy Siegel to dominate the bootlegging business. This wasn't about tradition. This was about money. But Lansky wasn't just Luciano's financial guy. He was the Mafia's accountant. He didn't just help run the bootlegging operation, he also laundered money, setting up offshore accounts and legal businesses to hide their criminal profits. What Lansky pioneered became standard practice for organized crime for decades. Bugsy Siegel was charismatic, violent, and utterly fearless. He wasn't just Luciano's friend, he was his personal hitman. Siegel played a key role in Luciano's rise to power, personally handling eliminations, including the elimination that helped him get the throne. Luciano had one problem. Two mafia bosses at war, tearing New York apart. Joe Masseria, his own boss, and Salvatore Maranzano, an old-school boss of bosses. Luciano saw them as obstacles to progress, and in the Mafia, obstacles are removed. So, on April 15, 1931, Luciano invited Masseria to lunch, mid-meal. Lucky excuses himself to the restroom. Moments later, gunmen storm in and Masseria is gunned down. Almost 5 months later, on September 10, 1931, Maranzano, thinking he's won, declares himself boss of bosses. But Luciano? He had other plans. That same day, he sends 4 Jewish hitmen disguised as IRS agents. They stab and shoot Maranzano to death in his own office. With one masterstroke, the old Mafia was gone, and Luciano's reign had begun. Luciano didn't just take power, he changed the game. Instead of one dictator, he created the Commission, a governing body where all Mafia families had a say, like a corporate boardroom. For the first time, organized crime had structure. The Commission included representatives from the 5 New York Mafia families, Lucchese, Genovese, Gambino, Bonanno, and Colombo, along with other major crime families across the United States. This wasn't just crime anymore, this was business. Instead of constant wars between bosses, the Commission settled disputes through votes, maintaining order and maximizing profits. Major decisions, like assassinations of high-ranking members or expansion of criminal operations, had to be approved by the Commission to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. But if you broke the rules, you paid the price. No one, not even a boss, was safe from the Commission's wrath. For example, Bugsy Siegel, Luciano's right-hand man, and the mastermind behind the Las Vegas casinos. Well, he had a problem with gambling and reckless spending, which made the Mafia nervous. While the Commission gave him a chance to fix it, he never did. So they had him shot while in his Beverly Hills mansion. The message was clear. No one was untouchable. Not even the men who built the Mafia. There was also illegal gambling, narcotics, extortion. Luciano transformed organized crime into an empire that, he would later say,
"There's no such thing as good money or bad money. There's just money."
But no empire lasts forever. Enter Thomas Dewey, a relentless prosecutor obsessed with wiping out organized crime. Everyone knew Luciano was the real boss, but with no hard evidence, he was untouchable. So Dewey set a trap, going after Luciano's prostitution rackets. He pressured madams and low-level mobsters to flip, offering reduced sentences in exchange for testimony. When Luciano caught wind of the case, he fled to Hot Springs, Arkansas, bribing local officials to protect him. But Dewey wouldn't let him slip away. He had him extradited back to New York. In a high-profile trial, Dewey personally prosecuted Luciano, parading over 80 witnesses to expose him as the mastermind behind a $12 million a year vice empire. Luciano, for once, couldn't bribe his way out. And in 1936, Luciano was convicted on 62 counts of running a prostitution ring in which he was sentenced to 30 to 50 years in prison. One of the harshest punishments ever given to a mafia boss. But how exactly did Dewey build such an airtight case against the most careful man in the mafia? It wasn't just the testimony of prostitutes and low-level gangsters. Abe Reles, a Jewish hitman, turned state's witness, spilling secrets that helped convict Luciano. Luciano never forgave snitches, and Reles never made it to trial. Under police protection, Reles mysteriously fell from a sixth-floor window just before he could testify against even more mafia bosses. The cops called it a suicide. The mafia called it justice. But even behind bars, Luciano still ruled the mafia. He had gourmet meals, tailored suits, and controlled operations from his cell, showing that the mafia still answered to him. Then came World War II, and an unexpected twist. On February 9, 1942, disaster struck. The SS Normandy, a massive French luxury liner being converted into a U.S. troop ship, mysteriously caught fire while docked in Manhattan. The blaze raged uncontrollably, eventually capsizing the ship, a devastating blow to U.S. war efforts. Authorities suspected Nazi sabotage, but there was a problem. They had no informants, no leads, and no control over the docks to investigate properly. With fears of Nazi sabotage on New York docks, the United States government turned to one man, Lucky Luciano. From his cell, he ordered the Mafia to protect the ports and provide intelligence for the Allied invasion of Sicily. In return, he brokered his own release. And in 1946, he walked out a free man, but was deported to Italy, never to return to the United States. But despite exile, Luciano remained the unseen hand of the American Mafia. That same year, he secretly flew to Havana, Cuba, and held a mafia summit with America's most powerful crime bosses. His goal? To take back control. However, the United States got wind of it and forced Cuba to deport him. But exile didn't mean retirement. Luciano expanded the heroin trade, setting up international supply routes before it was even a concept in organized crime. Even thousands of miles away, the United States government still feared him. But soon, tragedy would strike. On January 26, 1962, Luciano suddenly collapses at Naples Airport and dies. The official cause? Heart attack. But was it? It is said that he was on his way to meet a film producer about a movie on his life. Some believe the Mafia feared what he might reveal. Others point to United States intelligence, like maybe he was poisoned, or maybe his past had finally caught up with him. One thing's for sure, Lucky Luciano took his secrets to the grave. Luciano wasn't just a gangster, he was an architect. He built the modern Mafia, a criminal empire structured like a Fortune 500 company. He controlled not just the streets, but politics, the police, and even the military. And even exiled, the United States government and his own men still feared him. His name still echoes in the underworld today. So tell us, which Mafia legend should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Subscribe for more deep dives into crime history. Want to know what happened to Charles Taylor and the missing squadron of Flight 19? Check out this video next.